صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة صلى الله عليك وعلى آل بيتك الطيبين الطاهرين ما خاب من تمسك بكم سادتي أمن من لجأ والتجأ إليكم يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. قال الله العظيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
My condolences goes first to our master, Imam of our time, Sayyidi Mawlai Aba Salih Al-Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, for the martyrdom of his grandfather, Imam Ali ibn Mohammad Abul Hassan Al-Thalith Salamullahi alayhi. When in honor of someone's father you do something, commemorate, it's the least that the person who are you, his father, commemorating do is to either come to that gathering or to be glad and happy with the people who made those gatherings happen to commemorate his father. And today we are commemorating the grandfather of Imam of our time, Ajjallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. An Imam that, like his ancestors, lived and died oppressed and in a harsh and unwelcoming environment. Imam Salamullah alayhi was born in a village that Imam Al-Kadhim alayhi salam built. The village that was about 3 miles from the holy city of Madinat al-Munawwarah, Madinatu Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it was called Soria. And in that city, he built for his Shia and his lineage. They will take shelter at that place and live as well. Like Imam Al-Rida alayhi salam for a while lived in that village. And his son Imam Al-Jawad alayhi salam lived in that village. And Sayyid Muhammad, the son of Imam Al-Jawad alayhi salam, as well, lived in that village and was born in that village. His mother was a lady called Sawsan or they called her as well Suman al-Maghribiyah. She was from northern Africa, apparently, and she was one of the pious ladies of her time. Up until Imam was in his 20s, 22 years of age, he lived in the city of his grandfather, Medina. But after Mu'tasim moved to Samarra and Mutawakkil came to the power over there, he sent a letter to bring the Imam to the city of Samarra. And in that letter, he said that this city, he said in that letter that I want to meet you again, and I have missed you dearly. We all know now that Mutawakkil Abbasi was a liar, a tyrant, that he didn't mean what he said in that letter. But if you analyze what he said, it's interesting to know that the Shia were strong and spread out through the Islamic countries. They were spread from Egypt to Iran and Yemen and Iraq. And Imam Salamullah alayhi had representatives throughout the Islamic world. And that is beside that Imam Salamullah alayhi was dearly loved by the people of Medina. So we see here that what this tyrant did was kind of a move to sever the connection that Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam had with his followers and his people. And Imam Salamullah alayhi, of course, who built a network throughout the Islamic world, did everything in preparation for this, let's say it like kind of imprisonment of him and being away from his followers. So when the envoy of Mutawakkil Abbasi alayhi la'anullah came to Medina with, of course, 300 soldiers, it's interesting that, of course, on their way to Medina, in the desert, Yahya ibn Harthama, the leader of that little army, or like the envoy of Mutawakkil, he says that we were in the middle of the desert, standing there, looking at the plain field. There was nothing over there. And he said he was, of course, not a Shia. And he said to a person that it was a Shia, he said to him that, don't you guys say that Ali ibn Abi Talib said there is no place on earth, either it's a grave or will turn into a grave. How this place gonna turn into a grave? It's the middle of nowhere. No one even comes here. So this person, he went and gave the letter to Imam Abul Hasan to be known after Al-Askari alayhi salam, and he said, whenever you're ready, we can take you to meet your cousin. The people of Medina knew better. And there was a massive turmoil in Medina that if he goes, he's not going to return. No one who left Medina like this ever returned. And Imam is not an exclusion from this kind of problem that will face him. And the people of Medina, of course, loved the Imam Salamullah alayh. And they loved having him in the city of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he said to Yahya ibn Harthama, Imam, told Yahya ibn Harthama, you let us prepare. And Yahya ibn Harthama saw that there are tailors in the house of Imam. They are sewing like very thick clothings and cloaks. He said to his mind, like, we are in the middle of summer. Like it was around like June, July, right? Not June, July over here, of course. So he said that it's very hot. Why do they need this for? And they say, his followers say that he knows the unknown and knows ghaib. So Imam, when the tailor was finished, he said, now we are ready. So they prepared and went. So Yahya ibn Harthama is a person who narrates this himself. Yahya ibn Harthama said that we reached, he said, the same place that I said what I said, that, there's no one to be buried here, no one even comes through this way. And he said that we were staying for the night, and Imam Salamullah alayhi gave the cloak and the thick clothing to his family, to his people, right? And he said that give one to Yahya ibn Harthama and to his horse as well. Yahya ibn Harthama with awe was like, so what is this for? And he said that all of a sudden we saw the cloud gathered and start hailing. He said like, it was start hailing like rocks from the sky, from above. Said no one from the followers and the family of Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam was hurt, and 80 people of my army, of my followers, of my envoy that came with me died. And Imam Salamullah alayhi after, he said, that's how the desert will be filled with graves as well. And he said, after that, I became one of the followers and believers of Imam Muhammad, Abul Hasan, Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And one of the interesting things in regards of Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam, who had, as I recall, 4 boys, like one being Sayyid Mohammad, his son, was born in city of the village of Surya, and one is Sayyid Hussein. So Hussein is going to become who? The uncle of Imam Al-Zaman alayhi salam. And another one that Sayyid Muhammad, Sayyid Hussein, and of course Ja'far al-Kadhab, and he had a daughter, Sayyida Hakima, Sayyida Hakima was the daughter of Imam Jawad, his aunt. So Imam Salamullah alayh, of course, from his boys, Sayyid Muhammad, who stayed back in Medina. He didn't come with Imam, he didn't go with Imam. He stayed back in Medina as a representative of Imam Salamullah alayh. And Ja'far unfortunately went with the Imam. Sayyid Muhammad, of course, one of his visitation, it's a famous that he, some say that he was poisoned. One of his visitations to his father in the city of Samarra, after he was going back to the Medina, he got sick on the way and passed away, and his grave is in the city and a place called Balad, that everyone who goes to Samarra visit as well Sayyid Muhammad there and ask him for hajat. It's interesting in the life of Imam that, you know, out of all the Imams, you see that there's a lot of similarity between Imam Ali Al-Hadi and Amir Al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Not just in name, of course, but Amir Al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was confined in the Medina for 25 years. For 25 years, Amir Al-Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi, 10 years, 2 years during the time of 3 months during the time of Abu Bakr. The second one, I think 10 years and 6 months, and for 12 years and a few months during the time of Uthman. So Imam Amir al-Mu'minin salawatullahi wasalam alayhi as well, he was confined. That didn't mean that Imam salamullah alayhi didn't resort to other ways and means to help his followers and to help his people. But what that shows you that, you know, during that kind of time, and that he wasn't disconnected from his people. He still had followers. For example, as a very famous companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Mohammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi was, of course, a well-known one, Abu Dharr al-Ghifari. That Abu Dharr, of course, when after he was objecting of what Uthman was doing, he was exiled to Levite, to Sham, and in that place he starts even preaching, and a lot of people became Shia in Lebanon and in Syria nowadays because of Abu Dharr radwanullahi ta'ala alayh. And Salman became the governor of the Madain because he was appointed during the time of third Khalifa. But what he did over there was, of course, preaching and inviting people to the true path of Islam and the path of Ahl Bayt salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim ajma'in. So Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi wasn't disconnected from the world around him. He resorted to other means like Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam did as well. And one other interesting thing is that Imam Ali ibn al-Husayn salamullah alayhi, who resorted to du'as and ziyarah, Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam as well, he resorted to, for example, one of the most famous du'as that we recite, and one of the most eloquent and precious du'a that we have, that has a lot of thawab if you recite that du'a in the shrines of Ahl Bayt salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim, and everywhere, ziyarat Jama' al-Kabira and ziyarat al-Ghadiriyah, that Imam Al-Sajjad, Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam, like Imam Al-Sajjad, like, you know, a lot of du'as of and supplication of Imam Al-Sajjad alayhi salam was like kind of teachings. It wasn't just a du'a, was teaching the people like du'a makarim al-akhlaq. So Imam salamullah alayhi here, it was kind of a debate as well from Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam to the people who didn't believe in that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was the first and true successor of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
But again, one of the other matters that truly aches the heart of any person who loves Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam and Imam Al-Hadi salawatullahi wa salam alayh is the fact that he was very young when he became Imam. He was like 8 years of age, and he was orphaned, and he lived this kind of tough life that didn't, of course, break him. It would have broken the toughest man. But Imam Salamullah alayhi was, no, not just didn't break him, but actually like molded the people. Like they didn't even doubt in regards of Imam. They doubted in regards of Imam Salamullah alayhi, Imam Al-Jawad to be the Imam, but not Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam. Some people, they wanted for the son of Imam Al-Jawad, Musa Al-Mubarqa, to be the leader after the Imam Salamullah alayhi, but Musa al-Mubarqa himself was a really pious person, Abu Mohammad, and he his name was Mubarqa. He used to have veil on his face because he was so beautiful that bothered him the amount of people who would just stand and like look at him. So a lot of Sada Sayyids in India, Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan are the descendant of Sayyid Musa al-Mubarqa, who his grave is in Qom in a place called Chil Akhtaran, which means like 40 kind of stars and shining stars. Anyway, so Imam Salamullah alayh, when he was, he resorted to du'as. He resorted to having a representative. And one other thing that it's very interesting during the time of Imam Salawatullahi Salam alayhi was the amount of miracles that Imam Salamullah alayhi performed. That's not normal usually. Miracles are something that's abnormal, right? Not, for example, like a lot of us want a miracle in his life, like something to happen. But it's out of norm. Something that rarely is being seen. Maybe a person like live his entire life without seeing even one single miracle. But Imam Salamullah alayhi performed a lot of it in regards of the people. And that, in my opinion, was because the Imam couldn't like just open his doors or go to the masjid and start preaching and teaching the people around him. Especially the people around him in the city of Samarra were not Shia, with the people of Bani al-Abbas. So one of the things is that it's interesting in regards of Imam Salamullah alayh, it was this. But it was so famous and well known about the Imam that even non-Muslim, when they had a big problem, they resort to do nadhr and dua for Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam. For one instance, there was a Christian man from Mosul that was called upon from Mutawakkil. His name, I think, was Yusuf ibn Yaqub, if I'm not mistaken. So Yusuf ibn Yaqub, he said that he went to a friend of his. He said that, Mutawakkil called upon me, and this person is well known. Like for example, for instance, people who lived during the time of Saddam. If Saddam himself called upon like a normal person, this person is going to say, oh, you know what? Take care of my family, and I'm probably going to go and never come back, right? So he said that upon me, if is to give 100 gold coin, 100 dinar to Imam Salamullah. Apparently this person was very wealthy, to give to Imam to save me from my problem now. So he went to the city of Samarra, and he said that I'm a Christian man who in the capital city of so-called Khilafah that knows no one and is afraid that will make things even 100 times worse if he goes around and asks about the house of Imam Al-Hadi, which the Khalifa is against, and against his followers and the Shia. So he said, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna leave my mount, right, to take its way, and wherever it stand, it's, I'm gonna ask if it's the house of Imam. So he left that mount, roaming the city of Samarra, so until it went and stood on the front of one of the houses and never moved. So he said, whose house is this? He said, that's the house of Abu al-Hasan ibn al-Rida, Imam Ali ibn Mohammad Al-Hadi alayhi salam. He said, that's one sign. The second, he knocked on the door. The servant came to the door, opened the door, and told him, "You're Yusuf ibn Yaqub?" He said, "Yes, that's me." He said, "That's the second sign." He said, "Come, Imam is waiting for you." He waited in the corridor, and when he came to Imam, the servant told him that, "Give me the 100 dinar that you hid in your sleeve." He gave him that, and when he went there, Imam told him that, "Don't worry, no harm is gonna come upon you from Mutawakkil." And he thanked the Imam. He said, "Even though you are not a Muslim, lied all the people who said that our love will not benefit the people who are non-Muslim. But even with this miracle, you will not become a Muslim. But your son will." And the narrator himself said that, "I saw his son, and his son was proud and saying that, and that my father didn't become a Muslim. I became a Muslim, and I was one of the miracles and the signs of what Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam said about me, that I will come and become a Muslim and a follower of Ahlul Bayt salawatullahi wa salam alayhim ajma'in." So see the amount of, there's like a vast amount of narration that we have in regards of Imam Hadi salawatullahi wa salam alayhi in this regard. And it's not just like commoners, but people with influence, like Muntasir, the son of Mutawakkil al-Abbasi. One day Muntasir was with his father, and his father paid like thousands of dinar to plant a lot of flowers in his garden. But one spot, everything that the gardener did, they couldn't fix it. It was always turning yellow. And he turned, even Mutawakkil, imagine this. Mutawakkil turned to his son Muntasir, knowing about his son, that he is found of Imam Salamullah alayh, told his son that, "Is'al rabbaka al-aswad, awalaystum taqulun annahu ya'lam al-ghayb." Go ask your black master or black lord that, don't you say that he knows the unknown? That's why this spot is always yellow, and we did everything. So he actually went to the Imam and asked him, and Imam Salamullah alayhi said he killed someone over there and buried his body beneath it. So it's the rotten from that body prevents any plants to thrive and be put in that place. And when they went and opened that place and removed the dirt, and he said, "Be careful to say a word to anyone in regard of this." His own mother, Mutawakkil own's mother, did nether for Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam. So, and see, it's like it was a common thing in Samarra, that they knew about Imam Salamullah alayhi, that he has a place, he has a high place with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that his prayers will be answered, his call will be answered as well. So one and other, I said this, and it reminds me of another story, that Imam Salamullah alayhi was very dark skinned, and that's nothing to, of course, nothing is bad because of his mother. They were from Africa. And a Christian man who was a physicist, that he visited the Mutawakkil and his people. He said, once I saw Abul Hasan al-Thalith on his horse, and he was wearing a black turban, black imama, and he was dark-skinned and wearing a black clothing as well. So I said to myself that, أسود في أسود في أسود سواد في سواد في سواد, means black and blackness and black, right? So Imam approached him. He said, سواد في سواد في سواد, that it's in your heart, right? He said, I said this to myself. He said, then I truly believed in Imam, and I became a believer and a Muslim, and said the Shahadatain, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله وأشهد أنك حجة الله.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
But I couldn't reveal my true belief because of nature of my work and the nature of the people that I'm working with. So it was a common thing in the city of Samarra, but still, because they were like just 6 months, Muntasar, who killed his father, who went to Imam actually, saying to Imam that what's the Shara' says in regards of a person who swears at Sayyidatun Nisa Fatimah al-Zahra salawatullahi salamu alayha, should he be killed or not? So his Imam salamullah alayhi knew what he was saying. He said that, but if you do, your life will be shortened and you will not live but 6 months. And that's what happened as well. And after him came another, his cousin, and after that his brother, the son of other son of Mutawakkil, and they continued their oppression and oppressing the Imam salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Sallallahu Muhammad wa Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
One of the things that's similarity, like that I saw in regards of Imam Al-Hadi, Ali ibn Muhammad, and Imam Amir al-Mu'minin salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, that some people start worshipping them because of the miracles, because of the people heard about them in this regard. So some people, Amir al-Mu'minin sallallahu alayhi said in one of his famous narration that هَلَكَ فِي يَثْنَى مُحِبٌّ غَالٌ وَمُبْغِضٌ قَالٌ, that two people will be doomed. One is a person who does ghulu. What does ghulu means? Ghulu means, for example, we say something is ghali, something is like it's overpriced, right? That it's not the actual price of this and something that it's not in its place, right? So in Arabic, ghal, right? Ghali, in our dialect, means something that it's very expensive and overpriced to be exact. So and the person who hates Imam Salamullah alayh, so like the people who Imam Salamullah alayh throw in the pit, and he didn't burn them. He put fire to the next pit and told them to repent in regard of believing that Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib was a god. And they said, no, it's since it's you, you're gonna, we don't need repent. It's a test. Anyway, Imam Al-Hadi salamullah alayhi had that problem as well, and he got a few people like Ibn Bab al-Qummi and Muhammad ibn Nusayr al-Fihri. Those people claimed Imam to be God. They claimed that the Imam to be God, and of course, Imam is confined in the city of Samarra. He cannot go outside, and they said that Imam is God, and we are his prophets. To this extent, Imam Salamullah alayhi even ordered the people. He said, "Is there anyone to go and kill them? Actually, to kill them." And Nusayris, which they call themselves now. Alawis, like there's two sects, because Muhammad ibn Nusayr, I think he said that it depends on what you do in life, that's how you're going to be reincarnated as well. If you a bad person, you're going to be incarnated into a mule or a horse, or maybe a non-Muslim, or if you are a good person, you believe reincarnate until you reach the stars. I don't know what kind of logic is that, but I mean, a lot of people believe them, and still a lot of people follow them. Sallallahu alaihi wa Muhammad. So see the challenges that Imam sallallahu alaihi wasallam faced during his life with these type of people. You know, there are people who have brings doubts into Islam, right? It was open in regards of everything. Like a lot of people, I think Ishaq al-Kindi, he was writing actually a book in regards of that the discrepancies in Quran. A lot of other people were gone astray because the so-called khulafa who brought the Turks, they were like always caring about their own amusements and what they do in that area. They don't care about what's happening in the rest of the world. And the Turks were actually the ones who are running the show and running the things. They even there was a poem who said in regards of those kind of people, like خليفة بين وصيف وخليفة في قفص بين وصيف وبغى يقول ما قال له كما تقول الببغاء. That Wasif and Bugha, there's like two military. Salih ibn Wasif was one of them, one of the military leaders who were actually running the show. And he said, like this Khalifa is like a parrot in a cage, and he's just repeating what they tell him to say. So a lot of other people were gone astray in regards of the Muslim world. The Sufism was on the rise. Imam Salamullah alayhi needed to refute them. The Ghulat was on the rise as well, like as I called and mentioned. The other groups who had doubts and brought doubts into Islam as well, they were on the rise. But the Khalifa, like Mutawakkil, in public, drinks in public, swears at Amir al-Mu'minin salawatullahi wa salam alayha, at Fatima Zahra salawatullahi wa salam alayha, and send people to at the middle of the night, go from the wall inside the house of Imam salamullah alayhi, bring the Imam salawatullahi wa salam alayhi without him wearing his imam, proper clothing, to the Khalifa who was drinking at that time, and telling the Imam, come and drink with me. I mean, imagine what Imam salawatullahi wa salam should have gone through, like what the Ummah was becoming. For the Khalifa, so calling himself the representative, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, publicly drinking and inviting the son of Rasulullah, the descendant of Rasulullah, come and drink with him. So that's what they call the Islamic empire. What kind of empire is this? It's an empire, not Islamic, that's for sure. And Imam salawatullahi wa salam alayhi, he said, you know, I never drink a drop and never didn't mix with my flesh and blood. He said, then you must sing for me. I mean, this in itself, if I just do musibah on this matter itself, that Imam Ma'soom ibn Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam been brought in this way to the house of a tyrant, the tyrant invite him to drink. You know, a lot of people, maybe they're not pious, maybe they're not mu'min, maybe they have like problem with Islam, like maybe they're not even Muslim, but they will respect to the amount you believe. I've seen this many times. If they see that you are praying, for example, they're not going to approach him. He's praying to his Lord. You know, I don't care whether he's right or wrong, but he's praying to his Lord. You know, I'm not going to invite him directly to do something haram. And after saying to Imam Salamullah, come and sing for me. And of course, Imam Sallallahu said, I never I don't sing and I don't say poetry. He said, you have to. And Imam said to him that poem that باتوا على قلل الأجبال تحرسهم غلب الرجال فلم تنفعهم القلل واستنزلوا بعد عز عن معاقلهم. That Imam Salamullah starts reciting him and reminding that guy with that kind of, in his kind of status, right, drinking, drunk, right, reminded him of Akhirah. One day you will die. After days of your drinking and eating, you will be eaten. So That he said it turned him, and he started weeping until he wetted his bead to this extent. So see, Imam Salawatullah Salam alayhi, they see every opportunity to even advise the most wicked people, like Sayyid Mawlai Abi Abdullah Al-Husayn Salawatullah Salam alayhi, and the desert of Karbala. On the day of Ashura, the people are seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in killing him. And still Imam Salawatullah Salam alayhi invite them, and that's what happened. When Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam was poisoned, Salawatullah wa salam alayhi, he was struggling with this poison and got sick for 3 days. His family surrounded him, his sons, Imam Al-Hasan Aba Mohammad, Sayyidah Hakima Salamullahi alayha. And they were there for him. And when Imam Salamullahi alayhi, he faced Qibla, he put his hand to his side, and he recited the Shahadatain, and his soul left his body. Salamullahi alayhi wa imamah wa sayyidah. They were with him over there. The city of Samarra, the whole city, they came to his tashyi'. He was buried in his house. Salamullahi alayhi. Waili alayk, Sayyidi wa Mawlai Aba Abdullah. When Sayyida Zainab alayha salam, so Aba Abdullah was on the plain of Karbala, beheaded, she said, and turned to Umar ibn Sa'ad and telling the soldiers of Umar ibn Sa'ad alayhi la'inullah, you buried your people, isn't there no one to bury the son of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi? So what they did instead, Umar ibn Sa'ad, he said, Ya khayl Allah irkabi ودوسي صدر الحسين. He said, oh, the horses of God, come and stamp the chest of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل بيت محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. And these hours of the night of Jum'ah, the day of صاحب الزمان عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the reappearance of our master, Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us on the path of Muhammad and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam alayhi majma'in. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at these hours to give all legitimate hajat to all mu'mineen and mu'minat, grants them their hajat. And in these hours we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the ayah sharifa, ayah al-mubarakah, to grant the shifa, quick shifa and ajil, inshallah, to the people who are in need of our dua. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا